What's up, everyone? It's me, Marcos, over here at the Scoop Troop. Today, we're going to be talking about why we think House of the Dragon will be better than Game of Thrones. Now, let's turn the clock back to 2019, a time when Marvel was making good movies and Game of Thrones was airing its last season. A season which was, well, let's say, divisive. Honestly, it left a sour taste in the mouths of many after what was an excellent 8-course meal. And really, that's why we wanted to give some reasons why House of the Dragon will be better. Things first, the story is finished. Yep, all of it. Not 65% of it, all of it. If you didn't know, House of the Dragon is based on the book Fire and Blood by George R. Martin, which was released in 2018. So it's said to read like a history book rather than a novel, and the storyline in House of the Dragon will cover part of that history, which is known as the Dance of Dragons. I'm sure you know that Game of Thrones was based on the book series, A Song of Ice and Fire. But when Game of Thrones premiered, only 5 of the planned 7 books were out. A decent-sized lead, but sadly the show eventually passed the books. Which basically left the showrunner sailing uncharted waters with only an endpoint as a guide, sort of. And as much as we are fans of all of Game of Thrones, it's pretty undeniable that the quality of the show took a hit after that happened. So rest assured that George R. R. Martin won't blow another lead with this one.
It's always a little apprehensive when you turn your baby over to foster parents, but I'm involved in this.
So not only will the showrunners of House of the Dragon have a finished story, but they also have access to the story's creator, George R. R. Martin. He has returned not only to advise on the show, but is in the writing room. This is big because George left writing for Game of Thrones after season 4 for uncertain reasons. Which sucks, because that was when the show really started to diverge from the books. So not only did they lose their source material, but also the creator of the story. House of the Dragon won't have that problem for at least the first season, so there's no reason to believe the dialogue and storytelling won't be up to par or even better than Game of Thrones. And let's be real, if George is using his time to make this show instead of finishing Winds of Winter, it better be amazing.
Now they see you as you are.
House of the Dragon has nearly 80 hours of Game of Thrones content to analyze, and 10 years of production experience to learn from. Everyone involved can look back on what worked, what didn't work, and what could be improved on. And look, regardless of how you feel about the later seasons of Game of Thrones, I'd have to call you a liar if you didn't think they constantly improved on the production side of things. So with House of the Dragon, hopefully looking to continue to improve in that regard. And honestly, what we've already seen from the trailers, pretty sure it's safe to assume we will be getting the best looking Westeros we have seen. Have you ever seen those heist movies where they get the old team together for one last job? That's kind of what they're doing with House of the Dragon. HBO went around and got some of the most important people who worked on Game of Thrones. First off, as we've already discussed, George is already involved, so that has some benefits. But another big piece is Miguel Sapochnik. You might be unfamiliar with that name, but I'd be surprised if you were unfamiliar with the episodes he directed. Episodes like Hard Home, Winds of Winter, and The Battle of the Bastards, which are all considered some of the best episodes Game of Thrones had to offer. And not only is he returning to direct some episodes, he's returning to be a showrunner, so his impact will be felt across the entire show rather than just a few episodes. Another person they're bringing back is Ramin Djawadi, the composer of Game of Thrones. Some people might say this isn't that big of a deal, but the themes he made for Dany and the Dragons in Game of Thrones are, in our opinion, the most iconic pieces. Also, the Winds of Winter wouldn't be the same without that score behind it. According to The Hollywood Reporter, House of the Dragon is going to run for about 3 to 4 seasons. Now, not everyone will think this is a good thing, but we think once a show starts to go past 5 seasons, the quality can start to dip. And that seems to be the consensus with Game of Thrones as well, especially with all the things that they were already dealing with that we brought up. So House of the Dragon being a shorter, more contained story won't face the almost impossible task that Game of Thrones had with ending an 8-season show. Look, nothing gives a better impression that House of the Dragon is going to be good than the fact that HBO just puts out good content. Since Game of Thrones came out, HBO has released shows like Succession, Euphoria, Watchmen, and Chernobyl, to name a few, all of which we are big fans of and have received several Emmy nominations. And HBO just isn't the type of company to just throw together and rush out cash grabs every year, at least not yet. So we are pretty confident in saying that House of the Dragon will be up to their typical standard of a show. And with every other reason we've already given, it could be one of their best. Plus, let's not forget that the budget is almost double that of the final season of Game of Thrones, so HBO is really giving their all for this show, and I just can't wait to watch it. Well, there you go. Those are our reasons why we think House of the Dragon will be better than Game of Thrones. Let us know if you think it will be better or not, or if there's any other reason you think we should have included. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. It would really help us out. But see you next time.